All right, folks, it's your favorite math teacher back with another lesson about what are we doing today? Solving equations. I'm warm by the fire. I got my calculator. I got shoulder cats ready if need be, depending on how bad things get. I'm going to show you how to do one of these problems. Then you're going to do one. We're going to move on to some more advanced stuff, hopefully, depending on how far we get. And yeah, let's see how far we can get with this. I'm going to walk you through one, and then you guys are going to try one on your own. So let's see. I see shoulder cats already getting excited. All right, let me go over to my smooth draw here and see what we got. 4x minus 4 equals negative 40. All right, this already is looking pretty darn difficult. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, okay, hold on, let me figure out how this thing works again. All right, there we go. I'm going to draw a little red dotted line here down the equal sign. And this really has no mathematical purpose other than it just shows us that whatever we do to one side of the equation, we got to do the same thing on the other side of the equation. Let's get a color that's a little bit better than red to draw with here. Let's get blue. All right. Now we're going in reverse PEMDAS order here. So usually we would do multiplication and division before addition and subtraction, but in this case we're going to try to undo any addition and subtraction first. And I see here we have 4x minus 4. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of that minus 4 or subtracting 4. And we think, well, what's the opposite of subtracting 4? We're going to add 4, and that kind of undoes the minus 4. And we're going to do the same thing. Remember, whatever we do on one side, we got to do on the other side. Now, I'm not going to break out the calculator for this one, but if you weren't sure what negative 40 plus 4 is, that would be a great opportunity to use your calculator. Actually, you know what? We are going to break out the calculator for that. So let's do the left side first. Negative 4 and positive 4 add to make 0. So this whole thing comes out to 0. All we're left with on this side is 4x. And we still have the equal sign here. Oh man, my handwriting's getting a little sloppy here. We want to do negative 40 plus 4. So we break out the calculator and we do negative 40. Now, notice I'm using this button down here, not the minus sign. They're slightly different. Negative 40 plus 4. You press enter. And what do we get? Negative 36. So if you weren't sure about that, well, guess what? You got to practice your integer facts. But this is negative 36. Okay, I'm going to continue with my red line here because I kind of didn't make it go all the way down. This red line is going to continue all the way down. Oh, it turned orange. Whoopsie daisy. But same thing. We have 4x equals negative 36. Now we want to get rid of any multiplication and division. So 4x means 4 times x. What's the opposite of multiplying by 4? You probably know it's dividing by 4. So we divide this side by 4. We divide this side by 4. 4 over 4 is just the number 1, so that cancels out, and you get x equals, now I'm definitely not going to the calculator on this one, but 36 divided by 4 is 9. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. And we still got to do one more thing here, which is check. That says check. So I'm going to rewrite the original equation. 4x minus 4 equals negative 40. Then wherever I see an x, I'm going to plug in negative 9. So negative 9 minus 4 equals negative 40. 4 times negative 6 is negative 36. You could check that on your calculator. That's a negative. And negative 36 minus 4 is negative 40. So negative 40 equals negative 40. And that works. Okay, you guys try the next one. All right, hopefully everybody got the right answer to this one. If not, you're in luck. We're going over it right now. Okay, so what do we got here? 9x minus 7 equals negative 34. Okay, I'm going to grab, let's see, where are we here? Oh boy. All right, we're going to do the red line down the middle just like we did last time. And I'm going to keep going down a little further than I might need to, just so depending on how many steps we have to do, I'm always going to have that red line there. And that just tells us whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. All right, I'm going to go over this one pretty quickly. Minus 7, what's the opposite of subtracting 7 or the inverse of subtracting 7? It's adding 7. And of course, if we add 7 to that side, we add 7 to that side. We draw a line straight across here. Negative 7 plus 7 is 0, so all we have left over here is 9x. Don't forget we still have an equal sign there. negative 34 plus 7. Hopefully you guys can do it without your calculator. Remember, you're starting at negative 34 and going up 7. So you should have a number that's negative, but closer to 0. Like not as negative because it's getting greater. And the answer is negative 27. Okay, next, we have a one-step equation here. 9 times x. What's the inverse of multiplying by 9? Dividing by 9. Divide this side by 9, divide this side by 9. Cancels out. Well, when 9 over 9, when I say that cancels out, it really is just the number 1. So all we have over here is 1x. And then negative 27 divided by 9 is negative 3. Check really quick. Original equation, 9x minus 7 equals negative 34. Wherever we see an x, we plug in negative 3. 9 times negative 3, I'm pretty sure it's negative 27. Negative 27 minus 7 is, in fact, oh, whoops, I don't know why I did that. Negative 27 minus 7 is negative 34. So, good work, everyone. Okay, this one we're definitely going to have to use the calculator on. I mean, unless you're really, really good with fractions, this is definitely going to be a problem for the calculator. And it looks confusing because on the right side of the equation, you have a fraction and you're subtracting a fraction and you're multiplying the variable by a fraction. So there's a lot of fractions in this problem. But luckily, this calculator that we have is very, very good at doing fractions, and we can use it to solve this problem and make it really easy. Before we jump into it, though, I just want you to recognize that this is the same as the two-step equations we've been doing before. Like, the variable is getting multiplied by something, that's one step, and the variable, or then you're subtracting something. So there's really only two steps. The first step is we have to undo this subtraction, and then the second step is we have to undo this multiplication. It's just that we're subtracting a fraction and we're multiplying by a fraction, but the calculator can do it very easily. Okay, so before we do any real math here, I want to break out my red pen and do a little artistic endeavor here, which is we're going to go write down that equal sign, and that's going to tell us that everything we do on this side, we have to do on this side. Okay, first thing I notice is that we're subtracting 8 over 3, minus 8 over 3. What's the inverse of subtracting 8 over 3? Adding 8 over 3. So plus 8 over 3. And of course, if we add 8 over 3 on this side, we have to add 8 over 3 on this side. Now, luckily, negative 8 over 3 and positive 8 over 3 just totally cancel out. They really make the number 0. So negative 8 over 3 and positive 8 over 3 equals 0. So all we have left over here is 3 over 2n equals. Okay, now comes the tricky part. What's negative 29 over 12 plus 8 over 3? You could do this out, but I'm going to suggest you use this calculator. When we're doing operations with fractions, or just to put fractions into your calculator, you're going to use this button right here that says n over d. But you'll notice this number is negative. So before we even hit the fraction button, we're going to hit the negative button. Fraction 29 over 12. And I'm in the denominator of the fraction here. So to go to the right, you just hit the right arrow. And then we want to add 8 over 3. Plus fraction again, 8 over 3. Now, not only is this calculator really good at doing operations with fractions, it gave you the right answer of 3 over 12, but this little arrow right here tells you that you can simplify the answer even further. So if you just hit the simplify button and press enter, it will reduce this. The top and the bottom are both divisible by 3. So 3 over 12 reduces to 1 over 4. So I can say here that negative 29 over 12 plus 8 over 3 equals 1/4, or 1 over 4. Okay, now we're multiplying n by 3 over 2. There's a real simple way to get rid of a coefficient in the front that's a fraction, what you can do is you can just multiply by something called the reciprocal. So the reciprocal is just like the fraction flipped over. So the reciprocal of 3 over 2 is 2 over 3. And of course, if you multiply that side by 2 over 3, you got to multiply this side by 2 over 3. Now, I'm not going to write this out, but if you look, here's what's happening. When you multiply a fraction, you just do top times top, bottom times bottom. And 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 2 is 6. So essentially, you just have a number in front of the n of 6 over 6, which is 1. So this whole thing just becomes 1n. I'm going to just write n. Over here, we do top times top, bottom times bottom. 1 over 2 is, 1 times 2 is 2. 4 times 3 is 12. And if you did this on your calculator, it would tell you you could reduce this because 2 over 12 reduces to 1 over 6. So n equals 1 over 6. Now, I kind of didn't leave myself enough room to check this, but I'm going to do it really small. Okay, so wherever I see an n, I'm going to replace it with 1 over 6. So 3 over 2 times 1 over 6 minus 8 over 3 equals negative 29 over 12. And I'm probably running out of space here, but just trust me, that says negative 29 over 12. Okay, top times top, bottom times bottom. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 6 is 12. So we have 3 over 12 minus 8 over 3 equals, hopefully, negative 29 over 12. Now, how am I going to do 3 over 12 minus 8 over 3? I'm going to go to the calculator. Fraction 3 over 12. You can reduce that if you want to, but the calculator's smart enough to figure it out anyway. Minus fraction again, 8 over 3. And we get a number, okay, this says negative 2 and 5/12. We were hoping to get negative 29 over 12. So there's a button on your calculator here that will actually convert it from an improper fraction to a whole number. It's just above this button here. So to get to these functions that are written above the buttons, you just got to hit second. So you hit second, and this button, that looks absolutely horrible, but this will convert your answer to a mixed number, and it equals negative 29 over 12. So that answer checks. Man, we're killing it tonight. Okay, last one. I'm going to go over this very quickly. You guys should have already done this. So you know what? I'm going to operate without the red line of equality. I'm just going to do what I got to do. And just remember, whatever I do to one side, I got to do to the other side. Now, this one's a little bit different because it starts with 11 over 4 plus 3 over 4r. But this 3 over 4r is multiplication, so we're not going to do that first. The first thing we're going to do is get rid of this 11 over 4. And even though it doesn't have a sign in front of it, it's a positive 11 over 4. So the way we get rid of it is we subtract 11 over 4. Now, I don't have the red line of equality, but I know that on this side of the equal sign, I also have to do minus 11 over 4. So let's break out the calculator. Let me clear out this mumbo jumbo here. So we're going to hit the fraction button, 163 over 32. Then I'm going to go to the right, minus, I'm not using the negative sign, I'm using the minus sign. I know it's a little confusing, but I'm using the minus sign. Fraction 11 over 4. And we hit enter. It says 2 and 11 over 32. I guess we could do that, but I would actually rather have it as just a, what's it called? An improper fraction. So it's 75 over 32. So on this side, these cancel out when they give you just 0. So we have 3 over 4r equals 75 over 32. And we're going to use the same strategy we used last time when I get rid of that 3 over 4 in front. We multiply both sides by the reciprocal, which is 4 over 3. We multiply this side by 4 over 3. Now, 4 over 3, 3 over 4, that multiplies out to 12 over 12, which is just 1. So we have 1r. Now, even a mathematical genius like me would need to do this in the calculator. Just kidding. I can do this in my head. 75 over 3 is 25. 25 times 4 is 100. So we'd have 100 over 32. And those are both divisible by 4. So we could reduce this to 25 over 8. And let's check that. So we're going to do 11 over 4 plus 3 over 4, except now that I have an r there, I'm going to replace it with 25 over 8 equals 163 over 32. So we have 11 over 4. 3 times 25 is 75. 4 times 8 is what, 32? Equals 163 over 32. Now, these don't have common denominators, but I can make this be 32 by multiplying the top and the bottom by 8. So we would have 88 over 32 plus 75 over 32. God, my handwriting is so bad. Equals 163 over 32. Now, 8 and 5 is 13, carry the 1. 7 and 8 is 15, plus 1 is 16. 163 over 32. Of course, you guys can do that on the calculator. I happen to be a mathematical genius, so for me, it's no big deal to do it in my big math brain. But 163 over 32 equals 163 over 32. Check, check, check plus.